Today, we're putting on our detective hats to solve a pretty high-stakes digital mystery. We're going to go deep inside the anatomy of a real cyber attack. So here's the setup. A major global company is in full-blown crisis mode. Sensitive, strategic info is suddenly out in the open. And the trail of digital breadcrumbs, it all leads back to just one device, the CEO's laptop, which just got back from an overseas business trip. The big question is, was it hacked? All right, let's dive right in. Our whole investigation kicks off at the digital crime scene, a massive data breach with some really serious consequences. And believe me, the stakes could not be higher. This wasn't some minor thing. The leak directly hit business operations and completely derailed crucial international negotiations. We're talking about $1 million problem, and our job is to figure out exactly what went down. You know, just like any crime scene, the very first thing our digital detective has to do is secure the area and collect the evidence. But instead of dusting for fingerprints, we're hunting for log files and network traffic. The whole process is super methodical. First, you set up a secure virtual forensics lab. You can think of it like a clean room for digital analysis. Then you import two key pieces of evidence. First up are the system logs from the CEO's laptop. This is basically a detailed diary of every single thing that computer did. And second, you load the captured network traffic, which is a literal recording of every conversation the laptop had over the internet. And you can see that happening right here. The investigator is copying all that evidence, the system logs, into the analysis platform, which is called Security Onion. This is the digital version of carefully bagging up evidence at a crime scene. You have to preserve its integrity for the investigation. Okay, so with all the evidence loaded up, the real detective work can finally start. But now our investigator is staring at this massive sea of data. The goal? Find that one single thread, that one first clue that's going to unravel this entire attack. So where do you even begin with all that data? Well, you narrow the search. We know the CEO was traveling between January 10th and 14th, so the investigator just uses a time filter to focus only on data from that trip. It's a smart way to cut out all the irrelevant noise. But even with the timeline narrowed down, look at this. The system is just flooded with security alerts. Some high severity, some medium. It's still a ton of information to sift through. And this is really where an investigator's experience and, frankly, their intuition comes into play. 555. That is the number of alerts they are facing. And that's just in a 4-day window. Buried somewhere in this digital haystack is the one clue that cracks the whole case. The challenge, of course, is finding it. And then they see it. Among all that noise, one high-severity alert just jumps off the screen. ET malware possible Metasploit payload. Okay, this is it. This is our first solid lead. It's telling us a known hacking tool might have been used. This is the thread we need to start pulling. Now that we have our first clue, the investigation can really kick into high gear. Our detective can now start piecing together the attack, following those digital breadcrumbs to see exactly how the intruders got in. And this is where the tech gets really cool. The investigator doesn't have to connect all these dots by hand. They can just take that suspicious alert and use this powerful function called correlate, and then the system automatically finds and links every other piece of data related to that one event. It's amazing. And just like that, the correlation reveals the entire attack chain second by second. I mean, look how fast this all happens. At 21:48 and 17 seconds, the CEO's computer connects to the attacker. A fraction of a second later, a web server responds and a suspicious file starts downloading. Just milliseconds after that, the malware is detected. The entire breach happened, literally, in the blink of an eye. So we know how they got in, and we know how fast it all went down. But what did they actually use? The next step is to find the digital equivalent of the murder weapon, the actual malicious file that caused all this chaos. By digging into the raw network traffic from that exact connection, the investigator finds the smoking gun. You can clearly see a file download, and its name is tradeapp_windows.exe. It's disguised as a legitimate trading application, a classic trick to fool someone into running it. But just having the name isn't enough. They need the actual file, and this is where a tool called CyberChef comes in. It's kind of like a digital archaeologist's toolkit. The investigator applies a recipe of operations to carefully brush away all the extra network data, isolating the raw file itself. It's like finding a fossil. All right, we have our suspect file. Now it's time for the final phase of our investigation, analyzing the evidence to confirm 100% that it's malicious and then officially closing the case. And this is the final proof, right here. On the left, another tool is analyzing the file's contents, and it's finding all these suspicious bits of text inside the code, clues to what it's trying to do. And then on the right, you can see the file starts with the letters MZ. That's the universal signature for a Windows program. So yeah, there's no doubt anymore. This is our weapon. So what exactly is this Metasploit thing that the first alert mentioned? Well, it's really a double-edged sword. It's this powerful software framework that good guys, security professionals, use to test a company's defenses. But it's also a favorite tool for bad actors to exploit weaknesses and deliver malware, which is exactly what happened here. So, with all the evidence collected and confirmed, the job still isn't quite done. The investigators' final, crucial step is to escalate this alert into a formal incident response case. All the findings get documented, creating a detailed record that will help the company beef up its defenses and prevent a similar and very costly attack from ever happening again. And so, the case of the CEO's laptop is closed. But this kind of digital detective work, it happens every single day. It really shows us that cybersecurity isn't just about automated defenses. It's about human expertise and intuition, supercharged by powerful tools. And it leaves us with a pretty critical question. In a world where attackers are always evolving, how do these investigators manage to stay one step ahead of the next digital crime?